I went to the dentist the other day and I had a lunch with a good friend right after the dentist, and the dentist tells me like, oh, we're going to have to give you a filling. And I was like, great. And they're like, okay, so you just have to sign this paperwork for the Novocaine. And I'm like, how long does the Novocaine last? And they're like, well, 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, but I've got a lunch. And I'm very food oriented if you haven't picked up this already.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, do I have to do the Novocaine? And
Brilliant.
They're like, no, you don't have to. And I'm like, okay, well, if I need it, I'll let you know. And I'll tap on your arm or something like that. And the guy's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I feel like I should be filming this for TikTok. And I'm like, no, don't do that. But let's see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, like they just get the drills out. And I went into that space that we were just in.
There you go.
And I was observing what it was like to be me. And don't get me wrong, like I could absolutely feel the drills going into my teeth and the whining and the discomfort.
Yes.
And the nerve tickling. I don't know if tickling's the right verb here, but like
depends on where your consciousness is.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
But it was at a distance. And so that to me was like just another reason to triple down on this practice because the guy asked me afterwards, he was like, well, why do you do that? I'm like, well, honestly, you're not going to get this. This is going to sound really out of left field, but like I'm training, because I know that I'm going to go through a lot of pain in my life. Nobody gets out of this pain free, right? Like there's going to be moments, and this is emotional pain, this is physical pain, this is whatever. But if I can collect as much data as possible that I am not my body, my feeling, my emotions, the story, the narrative that's going on in my mind, then I will have the keys to my own prison. I can open the door and go out. And so, I sort of said that to him, and the guy's looking at me like, you're a psychopath.
Yeah. You need Novocaine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's like,
no, but
you
that's
should go
brilliant.
back to that prison that
that's
you're talking about getting out of.
That's brilliant. So I had not one, but 2 clients who had open heart surgery, different times. And they were just equipped with this capacity, this skill. And it's a skill. Anybody can learn it. They were able to get their state so quiet, so calm, that on the day of their surgery, the anesthesiologist was mad at them because they thought they were high. You're not supposed to get high before you do anesthetics. One of them set a kind of record at Cedars Hospital for the shortest amount of time post-op in CC, critical care, right? Then the healing process was baffling to their doctors. Only statistically, because they weren't so tight that the trauma of having your chest opened up like a tin can was nothing like it would be if you were resisting that, even at a subconscious level. Those are some of the benefits of this. And to this day, I get feedback from these people because it's amazing what they did. It's not me, it's them. Because pain, seriously, is a process in your mind. It is the process of recording these neural impulses and having an experience in certain regions of your brain that are there for your self-preservation. Once it doesn't serve you anymore, it's very helpful to be able to dial it down.
Okay, so I just want to really demystify this.
Sure.
Because the last thing I would want to happen is for somebody to be watching or listening to this and then to be like, wow, Jim is some sort of magician.
No.
Because that's not the case here. Let's really break this down as to why those records could have been broken in the first place.
Yes.
If you are quieting your mind and quieting that story-making process, you aren't making those stories up.
Yes.
Those stories are intrinsically tied to your emotions and what you bring up with that, right?
Yeah.
If you're quieting that story down, lowering your heart rate, expanding and completely relaxing, somebody then goes in to do open heart rate surgery, sews you all back up. The thing that could prolong your recovery the stories that you're making up about it, the stress-induced states of mind that you're then constricting around.
Yes, literally repelling what they're doing. You're resisting instead of just letting go.
Yeah. And if you're open and responsive, like one of the modules that we do, you literally talk about this when we talk about awareness, but it's like, this isn't some expanding woo-woo. No. You're literally like relaxing your blood vessels. You're letting nutrients go around your body more effectively. Like it's completely practical to the level where it's like, it's a practice that's actually having applicable effect. It isn't like just pointing a finger at some mysterious, magical, like pixie dust.
Not parlor trick.
It's not a parlor trick, no. Although I'm pretty sure if there are anybody on this earth that I would want to do a couple of parlor tricks, I would get you to do them.
But you're right on. And just to be clear, these two clients had anesthesia. They weren't doing a Henry. They weren't saying, cut me up. I don't need any. No.
Well, this is a tooth and not my heart.
No, so but what I'm saying is just to be clear, they were having anesthesia, just nowhere near as much as they would have had to have if they hadn't done this state control prior to. Anesthesia is just state control. It's just chemical.
After your clients come out of this, they pick up the phone, they call you. What do they say?
Holy shit, you were right. Guess what? And I'm just delighted. I'm thrilled because what that means is they did it. I can talk till I'm blue in the face. I can show them techniques, but if they don't do them, it takes courage to do them. But I must tell you, part of our work was we got into very deep, very, very receptive states, and we went through the process of surgery 10, 15, 20 times. So this was very familiar to their bodies. I'm just suggesting that this incredibly plastic brain of ours, neuroplastic brain of ours, adapts quickly. It has to. It's got to survive.
The other direction that I wanted to take this is just before we started to get still, you said, stop the words in your mind, don't think.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to lead the witness at all in terms of put words in your mouth, but do you remember the first time that we got still together?
I think I do.
Do you think, would you have classified me as a natural?
No, you were fighting it.
Tell me more about that.
Who you are, part of what makes you who you are, part of what makes you so valuable is you refused to stop this objective third-person phenomenon. You wanted to study this. As badly as you wanted to get still, you wanted to observe the process as it was happening more. It wasn't until you were able to let that go. And by the way, I consider that a heroic journey. Because to go against something so intrinsic to who you are, you're a real scientist, not somebody who's playing one at school. You really want to know. But I'm suggesting part of this is in a way impeded by the inability to stop thinking thoughts about what's happening, because you're always a thought away from what's happening. That's the problem with a scientific approach. As incredible as it is an objective point of view. And as long as we're talking physical objects in the physical domain, God, is it good. Gets us to the moon. But it won't get us where we're trying to go if what we're trying to do is get consciousness. And there are some hardcore physicists out there who are really doing a yeoman's job here.